My guest today is Neil Gust. Neil is a Brooklyn-based editor, songwriter, and guitarist. In Portland in the 90s, he co-founded Heatmiser with Elliott Smith and later fronted the indie band No. 2. And since the 2000s, he's built an award-winning career in post-production as an editor, cutting high-energy, music-driven commercials for Jaguar, Cadillac, and Apple. This year, for its 30th anniversary, the remaining members of Heatmiser reissued their third and final album, Mike City's Sons, on Third Man Records. It contains a bonus album of unreleased songs, including the track Cocksuckers Blues, named after the unreleased Rolling Stones documentary that we will be talking about today, Cocksucker Blues by Robert Frank. And it gives me great pleasure to welcome the Revolutions per movie, Neil Gust. Hi, Neil.
Hi, Chris.
You know, we were children when we met.
I know. I know. You, when I met you, it was like Heatmiser's first big show.
Uh-huh.
And it was, we opened for Sprinkler and Hammerbox at Satyricon. And I still have the poster that Steve Birch designed. It was like color printed thing. It was just like a big deal.
Yeah.
And so that's when I first met you.
I know, it's so funny because Brant, who was in Sprinkler and left, and then he joined Heatmiser, and I didn't know you or Elliott. I knew Tony a little bit, and I just, I was obsessed with Heatmiser. Like, anytime Sleeping Pill came on, I lost my mind.
Yeah.
You guys were such a force, and I loved it so much, and I was so honored that we got to do creative things together, like the music videos. One of my favorite youth moments was sitting, playing Sonic the Hedgehog with Elliott, and you came in and saying, Chris, I've got this amazing record you need to hear. It's called Mescal Head by Swerve Driver. And you put that on, so we're listening to this amazing record that totally influenced my life after that, and playing video games.
Wow.
And it was just a very sweet, dumb, great moment, and I always loved stuff like that. So
that's lovely. It's awesome to hear you say those things. We also, you made 2 Heatmiser videos, which are really, really great. And
thanks,
they
Neil.
still are really great. If anyone in your audience wants to go see them, it's for Blackout and Why Did I Decide to Stay? And they're amazing.
Oh, thanks, Neil. It was so funny. The first one, Blackout, we shot at Handprints on Super 8 film. And we had I think we had $300 from Frontier to process and do stuff. And we were like, what do we do? But I remember you were so psyched with how amazing you guys look live, because you guys were an amazing physical live band, and just slowing down some of the Super 8 footage. So it looked, there's one part where you look like an amoeba or something really weird. I'm like, how is Neil moving like that on stage? I'm so glad I captured it.
So cool. But what you also captured was Portland at that time, It
totally
really feels like it. It's a visceral, like the sloshing beer in the cups,
Yeah.
all that hair and all the, it was cold. So everyone had all of these clothes on. It was just, it is so great. It's really one of the coolest music videos, I think, of that whole time. I love it.
Do you remember Why Did I Decide to Stay? It was your idea to get Mark to dance, right?
Yeah, but I didn't know what that was going to look like.
It's so beautiful.
I had no idea. I remember when you screened it for us, our mouths just dropped open like, oh my God.
Yeah, I think the idea was, since the last one was abstract, out of focus, Super 8, but, very intense, was to make this a little softer, a little bit, you don't see anyone's full face all the time. I think at this point already Heatmiser was we don't really want to be seen as much. We kind of, you were already changing. And I think visually you were yeah, we don't need to be hopping around the room in this video. It was so fun to work with you on that. And it's it's a beautiful song. So it was great to do that, to choose that song. How has it been revisiting the cassette the very beginning of Heatmiser and having a proper release. And then also with Mike City's Sons, was the source material even available for the cassette? Was that easy to do?
Yeah, Tony had it.
What?
Yeah, he just had, we first, okay, well, the professional skater Silas Baxter Neal wanted to license Rest My Head Against the Wall, which is a song from Mike City's Sons, for a skating video. And I was like, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
So I had to, but because all the publishing on that record is shared between me and Elliott, I had to get in touch with his lawyers and everything. And one of his lawyers was like, why haven't you reissued Mike City's Sons? It's not, you can't buy it.
Right.
And I'm like, we can? Will you let it, can we do that? And he was like, well, yeah, if you do it. So then I said to Tony and Sam, like, we should reissue it, but it was also like this mountain to climb.
Yeah.
And it was immediately hard. And but then Tony was like, well, what about all this other stuff? I'm like, what stuff? And he started sending me things, and I'm like, this sounds amazing. Like we'd recorded it all in like a day as a demo.
Right.
And it so it's live practically, and it's just sounded killer.
That was the Music at Heatmiser cassette?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that was amazing.
But there was also like 20 more songs. I don't know how many more, but like like a ton of stuff. It was just easier to put that out before a reissue of Mike City's Sons. So that's what we did. And it was really fun. Because people liked it way more than I thought they were going to. I honestly believed that we were just, here is the evidence for this mediocrity that we were, or something. Like I felt it. I didn't have any faith that anyone else would feel it. And it was really fun for some people to dig it,
Absolutely.
And then, but doing Mike City's Sons wasn't as fun because it just wasn't a fun time, and talking about it and, revisiting all the stuff about it. And it just wasn't as fun.
I remember visiting the house you were recording it. Was that like on Cooch or something, or Davis?
Yeah, Cooch.
Yeah. And it was not fun. Like, I think immediately someone saw me and was like, oh, do you want to go get coffee? Like people were like looking for an excuse to get the hell out of there. It is weird how you say like you just don't know how people are going to accept your past. You know what I mean? Like you're like, oh, this was where I was, and like I'm very embarrassed about some of my musical past. I'm just like, can't listen to it, can't. But it's amazing when you find out that like it's touched people who grew up with it, but also that people now are finding Heatmiser,
right? Like
the early stuff, and they're like, I love this. Like I didn't know, like what is this? They don't have a name or a shape for it that you do in your history.
I mean, we were just one of many bands in Portland at the time, there was just so many bands.
Yeah, I say that all the time too.
So many.
Like, well, Legacy is weird too, because none of us expected, like no band from our era was like, someday we're going to have reissues.
Right.
And we're going to be able to look at it through a different lens, and there'll be people writing liner notes, and they'll be asking historical questions. It was like, yeah, it's just another EP, like, right. And then we break up.
Right.
Bands broke up because bands were made to break up.
Yeah.
It was like, we did it 7 years, 8 years. That's a long time.
Yeah.
I'm really thankful that it is available to get easily on vinyl, because I think they're great bookends for a band that was definitely more than just another Portland band.
Thank you so much, Chris. I'm really grateful to hear that from you.
Well, I have some questions. Can I ask about number 2?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So the last album, there's a song called A.O.R.
Yeah.
on it. Is that based on a true story
Oh, yeah.
of you and okay, that is such a powerful, beautiful song about someone's summer never ending. And there's a great lyric where you say, "Thought I had earned my freedom, another trick my dad played on me." That is such a beautiful line. And I don't know the relationship between you and your dad, but I get it. Like, it's so powerfully evocative. And the songs on the albums, you're just so conversational. Like, your house is burning down in another song, and someone's standing next to you being like, "Oh, looks like your house. That happened?"
Yeah.
Okay. So it was like, I feel like this last album was, I was kind of it was like storytelling, Neil. It was really incredible. You were so frank, and it was just beautifully written.
Thank you so much. You're gonna make me cry. But
no, I mean
it's funny that you bring up A.O.R. because it would segue into Cocksuckers Blues. Partly because we don't have to go there yet, but do you want to go there yet?
You mean into the song?
Well, yeah. Well, into the word cocksucker, because I've worked on my dad's farm every summer. I grew up in Iowa City, and then and lived with my mom, and then my brothers and sisters and I would meet my other brother and sister who lived with my dad every summer and work on his farm. And then when the summer was over, we'd go back to school in Iowa City. And my dad had this volatile temper. And he would, when he was working on something and he was expressing his frustration, instead of yelling like, "fuck," he would yell, "cocksucker." It was so, even as like a little boy, I just thought, that's weird. It's weird. And I couldn't figure out why. But eventually I sort of just chalked it up to like another reason not to tell anyone I was gay, because there's this like free floating hostility that can suddenly violently come your way. And I didn't necessarily associate it as an anti-gay thing that he was saying. I don't think he meant it that way or anything. It was maybe something like his generation just used. And so when I heard about the movie Cocksucker Blues from Robert Frank and the Stones, I thought, fuck them for using it the same way. Yes. Even though I love the Stones and I loved Robert Frank. I still do. I mean, love. That's A.O.R., this song, the number 2 song, was about those summers. So.
And then you wrote Cocksuckers Blues for Mike City Sons.
Yeah. It was one of the first songs that we recorded.
Okay.
When we first set up our home studio and started recording, we did Burned Out Still Glowing and Cocksuckers Blues. And there was just, it didn't go well, you know?
Right.
And then everyone kind of fled. I could be remembering this wrong. You know, it was 30 years ago.
Yeah, I know.
But by the time we started doing the rest of the record, it just felt old. And I also just was, I didn't push the song because the word just felt dirty in a way that I couldn't, I didn't know. I didn't know that the band would really like it on the record, mainly because of the word. And I could have retitled it because it's whatever, but it was my own kind of hesitation.
Well, I remember, again, this was 30 plus years ago, but I remember even the local paper, I think it was PDXS, saying like Heatmiser wrote songs about girls. And then I remember Heatmiser making stickers and putting them all over town as a reaction to someone just blindly assuming that these are all songs about girls.
Right.
And that's kind of where like music was in 1991. It's kind of incredible that like no one was listening, or even the thought went there that like, yeah, Neil is gay,
We thought it was like a badge of honor. Everyone in the band was really totally comfortable with it. But I was sort of fresh out of the closet. So I was the one that was struggling with the comfort of it.
Right. So had you seen the film before you wrote the song, or was it just a reaction to them being like, we're being provocative?
I had never seen it. I didn't see it until recently.
Right.
You couldn't see it.
No. I mean, the film has such a weird, broken history. Before we get into it, I know your love of Stones, because I want to ask you about your guitar playing, which I don't know how to describe it. Maybe you can, but there's this thing you do. I don't know if it's hammer-ons or bark. I don't know what you're doing, but this like fluidity in a way that the Stones did, Mark Bolan did, even one of my favorites, Thin Lizzy did. What are you? Can I get? Because I'm such a naive guitar player. What would you call your phrasing when you're doing that? Like doing that kind of circular, kinetic. It's like the parts fit together like a machine. It's really cool, Neil. I don't know how to describe it, except it was there in Heatmiser and it's there on the last album, by number 2. You have your own style with it.
Well, I don't know.
Okay.
I would say that it arises out of limitations that I have, and that I focus as much on rhythm as I can. And when I'm at home playing by myself, I want drums, but I don't have drums. So I try to play in a way that I feel drums and I can sing on it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's really all it is.
Okay. For instance, the song Time's Up on the last record too, there's like these smoking Thin Lizzy-esque leads in it that I'm like, holy shit. Like, this is my favorite stuff. Like the combination of like, again, like you said, maybe like indie naivety in terms of like how you approach a guitar, but then like confidence in terms of just being like, watch this, which I love on songs like that.
Well, it's just basic rock music, it's so basic, blues based stuff.
I can't do it though. See, that's the thing. It's like, so
it's like it,
really?
Yeah. You just get in the right
I'm
box.
signing up for your School of Rock. But I can't do it. Like John Moan and myself and Eyelids can't do a bar chord. So between us, we have to make one chord, which I'm assuming maybe Heatmiser had a little bit of that too in terms of the interplay. But it's so funny. We just couldn't. He's like, I'll hit the top 3 strings and I'll be like, okay, I'll do the bottom 2 and we'll make a note, because we're just like, this hurts our hands.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, all I can do is bar chords. And
okay.
Which is a huge limitation.
And you can't tell though.
It's this attempt to like get out of the bar chord that is where some interesting things happen. But yeah, it's all just bar chords.
Okay. Well, that's why I probably am like, how are you doing this? Because I can't do one.
Oh boy. hurts.
Yes. Well, let's talk about the Stones. So you said that the Stones meant a lot to you. Was that like omnipresent growing up?
I had older cousins who lived in Chicago, and they used to come to Iowa City and bring albums. And one of the albums that they brought was Let It Bleed. And I was obsessed with the record cover because it had like cake and pizza. And then the back, it's all fucked up. It's like, the record's broken and the tire has like a bandage on it. And it's just,
Neil, I'm just going to tell you, they were bad boys. Just so you know.
But like as a little boy,
I know what you mean.
I just look at it, like flip the record over and, like map exactly what has changed from the front to the back.
Totally. I did it too. Yes.
And it just, that record became just, I didn't like it at first. I liked the other records that they brought, like Led Zeppelin 2 and Black's Paranoid by Black Sabbath. But as I grew up, that record became like just something that I felt deeply.
Just a couple years before that, they were still mostly doing covers on an entire record and a couple originals that were, Right. And then all of a sudden, they cracked the code. That record's flawless. I mean, just imagine just being like, yeah, here's our new record.
Right. And it's like, it's so timeless. It seems like they pulled it out of the earth like a carrot, it's just this soulful and timeless thing. That was always a big deal. But then I remember at this moment when I was a teenager, maybe less than a teenager, but I saw Apocalypse Now on cable TV for the first time. And there's this scene where Satisfaction comes on the radio and the guy is like, oh yeah, it's Lawrence Fishburne. He's like 14 years old and he turns it up and the camera swings and the song comes into like full dynamic range and they're water skiing on this like river in Vietnam. And after that, I was like, music and film is the greatest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. Like it is, that's how MTV doesn't know what they're doing. This is how it's done. It's just, to me, that whole combination of things was so magical. And I've never gotten over it. Like that whole movie, that Apocalypse Now, with the way that music is used, like the Doors at the beginning, the napalm trees, and then Susie Q during the strip show that descends into Bedlam, like it's just this mind-blowing use of music in film in a way that it was perfect,
Right.
And so the Stones just got lodged inside me in a way that I will never get rid of. And so I didn't want to be rejected by the Stones. I didn't want to be someone that they had contempt for, by using this word cocksucker in the way that my dad used it as a curse.
And they basically wrote this song as a joke song to get to their label as a contractual thing.
Right.
So to them, they're like, oh, we're going to say these things and they'll never use it because we're being bad boys,
Right.
When am I going to get my cock sucked? When am I going to get my ass fucked? It's like, oh yeah. And it's like, the song is on a lot of bootlegs and it's in this film for a bit. The interesting thing that not only do they lean into it, calling the film at this, because they're like, oh right, we're gonna push buttons by having it come out. It has such a troubled history, has such a troubled current time history too. I mean, the film basically, Robert Frank, amazing photographer, like you said. Some of his photos of his are some of my favorites.
Yeah.
The one of somebody, I can't even tell what it is, like a mannequin holding balloons going against the sky in New York City. The Americans, just all. And then, the Stones used a lot of his photographs on Exile. And the Stones, such an amazing history with filmmakers. The Maisel brothers, Godard, Scorsese, Hal Ashby. And they're like, of course, Robert Frank, like a genius. Let's get him in this thing. And the film just is so weird because the premise was, we're just going to leave cameras around and you can pick it up and film it. And of course, 1972, lots of drug use. Stones back in the U.S. for the first time since Altamont. They're really like even bigger. There's tons of violence at the shows. And this film, it just is such a weird missed opportunity for capturing a time that is so chaotic for them. I don't know. I mean, I don't mean to, state my opinion really up front, but
No,
it's like I want to love a film about the Stones in 72. I just want a film. Out of the gate, it says, except for the musical numbers, the events depicted in this film are fictitious. No representation of actual persons and events is intended. The reason why we haven't seen this film till recently, and you can see bootleg copies on YouTube, is that the Stones killed the film.
Right.
They basically said, we hired Robert Frank and we don't want to put it out. And Robert Frank said, no, I said I wanted to make this film and you said, okay, I own it. So they came up with this plan that when he was alive, he could screen the film as long as he was there with the film.
Right.
So it's played at very prestigious museums, film festivals with him there, and in the aura and inside the buildings of high art, But where do you take this film? Because to me, this film is not high art. I feel like it's a failure.
I totally agree. It's a bummer.
Yes.
The whole thing is really grim. And I mean, you were talking about wanting a document of the Stones in 72. It's a document of this suffocating isolation and like just how shut off they were from the rest of the world. And yet they're allowing their sort of, it's just gross. Like it's gross. And you're seeing how there's not a ton of Stones in it. It's like all these other people.
It's people doing heroin.
Yeah.
It's people being attacked sexually.
Yeah.
It's people just being bored. And it's so funny because Robert Frank said it was great to watch them, the excitement, but my job was after the show. What I was photographing was a kind of boredom. It's so difficult being famous. It's a horrendous life. Everybody wants to get something from you. And in this film, Mick Jagger is constantly yawning. It's that kind of film. Like, he's bored with waiting around. He's bored with being asked questions about Exile. He's bored at the piano. It's just such a weird premise, because I get that they're like, Robert Frank's like, this is what it's about. It's about the time in between the shows. It's about how long and tedious and gross this is, what I saw. And it was also really fascinating because Truman Capote was supposed to be writing something about this tour too and couldn't put it together for Interview magazine, I believe. And never got it done because he just didn't like it. He disappeared from the tour. He was like, I don't like this.
Yeah.
And so we see it, but it just doesn't. To me, this is I've been doing this now for a couple of years. This is like one of my least favorite films that I've had to watch for the show.
It's hard to get through.
It's long, and it's not that long.
Right. Oh, I know. So two things I only watched this film recently, and so I was struck by how boring and there's nothing there. But there are a couple things that stuck out to me. One was when Mick is getting interviewed by a TV reporter who's sitting next to him and is like looking at him and holding the mic up to his face, surrounded by all these other people. And Mick isn't looking, he's answering the question, and he's not looking at the camera. He's not looking at any person. He's not looking at the interview. He's just looking into the distance, giving his answer as if like the universe is his audience or something. You know, it's the weirdest, most disconnected thing. You realize like he has no connection to people other than like maybe when they're performing or something, but like he might as well be in outer space giving that answer. And the other thing that struck me was there's a brief scene where in an elevator where Keith is going downstairs in the, they're going down to the lobby of a hotel to check out. And he's in the elevator with all these other junkies, you know, but like, and you can just tell it's the hair and the sunglasses that he's just this charisma, and he is completely not paying attention to any of his entourage. And he goes out to the front desk, and all the women are fascinated by him and want his autograph. And all the men are looking at him with this disapproval and resentment and hostility. And he just kind of like, he's not engaging with anybody, not looking anybody in the eye. But then, so he gives an autograph, but then he just sort of turns around and leans against the desk, just kind of hangs out. Like,
yes,
they're leaving. What is he doing? Like, what? It's the strangest thing. And it's, I don't know if it's like, oh, he's finally around some good energy or something and he wants to stay there, or what? Or if he's just fucked up and doesn't know what's going on, or it's the whole thing is this evidence of how disconnected it is to be that famous. And it's just gross.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like he's not hidden, because you're right. He has total charisma and people are satelliting around him. But so often you'll be watching a scene and then you'll be like, oh, Keith's in it. He's over there.
Yeah.
And you don't realize it. You've been watching it for like 2 minutes, and then he finally moves and you're like, oh, it's Keith Richards.
Right.
Which is really strange. And I guaranteed Robert Frank that's what he was excited about. But when he put it all together, it feels like the takes are overly long. It feels like he ran out of stuff with the Stones.
Yeah.
And he's like, I got to make this a film. And I am a documentarian with my photography, and I'm going to document the people around them. It all makes sense on paper. But it's really uninteresting.
Yeah.
Again, you could be like, that's what he meant. That's what it is. It's uninteresting. That's the mantra of this thing. But I feel like I don't think I think he failed at it. I think I get what he's trying to do. But it feels a little desperate, like, and a little flop sweaty in a weird way. Like, I've seen all sorts of documentary. I don't need things to be linear. They can be experimental. They can be fucked up. They can be out of focus. I don't care. And I've seen things that do create a distance between the artists where you're like, well, I didn't really get to know them, but it was fascinating. To me, it just feels like, even when he's trying to be like, we're going to introduce the band through little voiceovers on the stage and little cutaways of them on the plane, or trying to show Dick Cavett on a TV, or radio, show intros about, where they're like, oh, Mick Jagger's the Lucifer of rock, the Pied Piper, the Dionysus of the rebellious youth, on and on. You're like, these things on their own are kind of fascinating, but strung together, I mean, you're an editor, Neil.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what
It's
could this have been a good film?
I don't know what got left out, there's these jolting moments in it where you see like a sexual thing is just kind of in there really quick, or you're watching something you don't want to watch, like, what is essentially a sexual assault on a jet, and then watching that girl shoot up is just so depressing. And it's surrounded by all this boredom that, like, okay, I get you're right. Like the concept, it's like Robert Frank was so insistent on maintaining the concept that he didn't make a compelling piece of art out of it.
Yeah.
And the fact that it got shut down and couldn't be seen is, creates all this interest around it that just the film can't deliver.
Yeah. I mean, I can't imagine going to see this at like MoMA, giving it credit just because I'm watching it in a museum and it's Robert Frank. Artists do fail, and it's allowed. But I remember it's so funny. I remember when I was working at the Northwest Film Center, and there's this young filmmaker who had been asked by Gus Van Sant to show his short film before My Own Private Idaho was having its screening. And he shot this thing, and the footage was really bad. Like, it was overblown, nothing synced up. And he asked me to edit it for him. And he basically didn't do anything. He just kind of sat back talking while I tried to fix it. And I was like, well, this is a voiceover of somebody who's struggling with addiction. And maybe I'll make it so the footage is like really beautiful at first, and then I'll just use the worst looking footage until the end. You can't really see anything. And he didn't say that, right? But I had to be like, oh, that was the concept. And then when he showed the film, he was like, I planned it, right? This is my idea. And I do feel like, you being an editor, it's like you can make or break something in the edit. You can totally save something and be like, I found the secret to making your thing not suck.
Yeah.
Or you can totally ruin this beautiful thing by just not knowing when to enter and leave something. Let something hang. It's fine. Or be like, you need to get the hell out. It's fascinating. So I was kind of curious, as your work as an editor, and you talked about how film and music and all this stuff like hits you in the chest.
Yeah. I was stunned by how boring it was.
Yeah.
And didn't watch it all in one sitting.
I didn't either. And I've seen it before, but I was like, I was not looking forward to this, I
don't know why. It's cut the way it is. I don't know what they left, if they just had to use everything they had, and that really they didn't have that much access to the Stones. Like, maybe they just had a little and had to use every single thing they had, and then filled it out with these other people who were more than happy to be on camera for a Stones film.
Right. Yeah.
And I don't know, if the idea was to show how boring and claustrophobic it was to be on tour, then
A+.
It succeeded.
No, I hear you. But it's so weird because it is cut up in such a funny way. So it'll be like 10 minutes of them just backstage getting makeup on and dressed, and you can't even really hear what they're saying. Right. And it's like 10 minutes. That's their choice. And then it'll be like, oh, but here's 3 minutes of Stevie Wonder, who was the opener of the show. We'll throw that in. Oh, here's here's some footage of them doing coke off a blade. Oh, here's, a headless figure in a bed, reaching down their pants to touch themselves. And then it cuts to Mick Jagger with a camera and you assume it's him, but you can't tell. But it feels a little like, right? Is this getting to you? Are you having comfortable? Are you having trouble with watching people shoot up? Huh? Yeah, and I've seen films about addiction and people that is so powerful when they just let it, it's telling the story of people with addiction and you're seeing it firsthand. This feels, it's so weird because Robert Frank obviously was not a stranger to just showing difficulties in people's lives as a still photographer.
Yeah. So maybe he knows how to edit himself for still images, but he didn't know how to edit himself with film. I don't know, because it doesn't feel like they knew what they were doing, really, as far as making something that is as gripping as his images, where you just like,
I know
the air goes out of the room and you're like, how did they capture? I mean, they're so cinematic and evocative and iconic. And then the footage is the opposite.
Yes. Yeah, I just think I can't tell the chicken or egg with this, I just, there's a part of me that feels like the Stones obviously were cagey and they were like, probably like, today you get into the hotel room. And then the next week he's just like, can I get into the hotel room? It feels a little bit like he's killing time, waiting for something that he can go on the plane this time. It's really fascinating. I saw a documentary that also was really flawed about the Stone Roses, where the documentary filmmaker was too in awe of them. And so whenever they were having a meeting about like reforming and things not going well, and maybe they're not going to play these things, he was shut out. They'd be like, you need to go. And I feel like a really great documentary filmmaker would find a way to get in and film it and be invisible. And the best documentaries are you're like, I can't believe that they've forgotten that this person's in the room. I mean, look at the Metallica documentary where it's like they're super uncomfortable with the concept of it being filmed, but they just like the person knew how to capture it in a way that you're like, oh my God. Imagine if Metallica was like, we need a meeting. And then they're like, yeah, we're changing this, and you miss out on all the story. So it feels like that to me. And I'm speculating, but it just feels like somebody who's hasn't been given full access to the Stones.
Yeah. It also doesn't feel like they respect him. Like they don't love him. It's weird. Like he's a great artist, and they recognize it enough to use his photos on their record cover, but they don't, you don't get any sense that like he's embedded with them, or there's this huge distance.
Well, it's so weird. Now I'm thinking about it. I mentioned the directors earlier, the amazing run of directors that, they've worked with.
Yeah.
Because I have a theory now. The Scorsese concert film that he did, Shine a Light, really unexciting. And there's even footage of Scorsese in the film, like staging the Stones exiting the concert, and Scorsese's at the exit door going, okay, this way, and then they go outside. It's like he's too much of a fan. The Hal Ashby film, Let's Spend the Night Together, that's also a really boring concert film where it's really distant. Like the camera is, it's like being shot and you're like, oh, Mick is a mile away and Keith is a mile away. I've never liked that film. The reason why the Maisel brothers, Gimme Shelter is so amazing is because so much of it is about not about the Stones. It's about
Right.
the people trying to put the concert on. It's about people building the thing. It's about the people in the audience. It's about most of the time the camera is off the Stones even when they're performing. And it succeeds because the Stones are like, we'll do a press conference and at the end we'll let you film us while you're editing it. And then the Godard one, same thing. It's like, film us in the studio and then you go make your revolutionary political stuff and we'll jam it together. So this is just a thesis that maybe, and even the recent one, Crossfire Hurricane, about exile, was not good. It was so distant and was so manicured by them that even when they put out the soundtrack and the extra stuff for the exile box set of leftover things, Mick put new vocals over things to sing on things instead of just being like, here's the demo with my old vocals. There's something about them that has a weird sense of legacy and kind of being closed off, I'm realizing, really as artists, because that's an amazing group of people. And I think they're all in awe of the Stones.
Yeah. Maybe they don't know how to make movies like the Beatles knew. But the Stones, what do you think of Rock and Roll Circus?
I like Rock and Roll Circus. But again, they made it, they canned it, because they're like, the Who are too amazing. And the Stones are falling apart. Brian Jones is a mess. But that's a great era of music. And it's fun to hear them do like, Parachute Woman live.
Mm-hmm.
It's great. But again, they have this big idea. It's the time where like you invite your friends. It's a circus. It's a free for all. Of course, we're all comrades. Come on, Jethro Tull.
Right.
And we're going to do this great thing. And then we're not going to let you see it.
Right.
It's like really weird.
It is weird. There's maybe that works with making records. Obviously it works with making records, but with film, I don't know.
Yeah, and they have a weird legacy with their music too. They have lots in the vault that have not come out, and I think a lot of it is because of their complicated relationship with ABKCO and the what was the lawyer then, Alan Klein and all that stuff. That basically, whenever they do a reissue of anything from that early stuff, there's no bonus stuff. There's no like cool demo things. It's like, here's a stereo mix and a mono mix.
Right.
And if you pay attention, once every few years, they have to do a digital dump online for copyright reasons. And people go in and they grab the stuff, off the internet because they have to put it online for a certain amount of time for the copyright of these unreleased songs, unpublished songs, to be grandfathered back into their copyright law of ownership.
Who has to dump it, ABKCO or the Stones?
I can't tell, but it feels like the Stones because it goes all the way up to recent things. So it has stuff from like Some Girl era, from like Bridges to Babylon era. And so, you'll see people be like, now, like on the Steve Hoffman site, they'll be like, I filled 5 CDs worth of stuff, but they've never put it out. They have so much backlog of audio, but I don't think they want to give anyone. I just don't think they want to give the wrong people the money, So it's weird. Their legacy is fascinating to me. And as Joe Sacco says, the Stones always knows what's best for us. Like if we're like, I don't like this record, he's like, the Stones know what's best for us. Wrap your head around it. They knew that Bigger Bang was the album we needed right now. And then we force ourselves to try to love it.
Yeah.
Have you seen them live?
No.
Okay. The last time I saw them, they were really good. Mick wasn't doing the football dash all the way around the arena. He sounded great. His harmonica playing is great. I mean, it's one of those things where you're like, yeah, I love the Stones, I just do.
Funny thing, I haven't seen much live footage of them. I just haven't hunted it down. And watching it in this movie, Cocksuckers Blues, it's just unbelievable how like janky it is,
Yes.
like it just it must have been really striking at the time to like it just there's like aggression, but it's also not together.
Yeah. No, it used to be that my favorite album of theirs was Get Your Yayas Out.
Yeah.
Because they would do Love in Vain so beautifully, but they couldn't play Carol by Chuck Berry after it. You're like, what is going on? Like, and Mick Taylor, he's 23 in this film, just such a beautiful guitar player, added so much to their sound during that era. But you're right. It's such a weird, it's funny. It's almost like a Cassavetes film where you're watching it and you're like, this is the most unreal, like corny thing. People don't act like this. They don't like make faces like that. And then 5 minutes later, you're like, this is the most real thing I've ever seen in my life. And then you just get into the rhythm of it. And the Stones are still kind of like that. It's just like, what are we going to get? And, but yeah, in this film, it's definitely, it's not polished at all.
My favorite musical part in it is Keith playing Brown Sugar. Like that to me sounds really killer. But I would watch that section just to learn it, how he's doing, because it doesn't sound exactly like the record, but it sounds, it like it still sounds like it's the same. It's not exactly the same, and yet it is totally the same. And that I love it when that's what live music is like.
Yeah, the confidence of just brain to hand to instrument like that he has when, like you said, if he's doing it right, it's just cuts so beautifully.
Yeah.
It's a one of one. You were talking about, you wrote Cocksuckers Blues as a reaction to this film that you'd not seen. Then this song ends up on the new reissue of Mike City Sons. Mm-hmm. And then you make a video for this thing that you made a reaction for. Mm-hmm. Like, where are you with all this, and how did that come to be?
During COVID, Sam Coombs and I made a video for one of his songs called Mabel on his solo record, True Death, which is an amazing record.
Yes, it is.
And he was like, there's this thing called the Internet Archive. And he went and pulled all this footage and sent me a drive, and I cut it. And we never put it out or anything, but we made this video together. When number two started making a record, I knew that I could get footage for something. Because we'd have no money to do this.
Yeah.
So when the Heatmiser reissue for Mike City Sons was coming up, we didn't have any pictures or footage or anything from that era. Nothing.
That's amazing, but it makes sense, right?
Yeah. There wasn't anything. So me and my friend, this guy, Loring McAlpin, who's a film producer, we were just talking about found footage, and he was like, there's a movie by Bruce Conner, who is like the godfather of the music video and pioneered found footage and all this stuff in like the 50s, and made one of the greatest music videos, Mongoloid, for Devo.
Yes. We
tried to make something kind of like that for Heatmiser, using the Prelinger archive, which is on the Internet Archive. And this is like not legal. It's all stolen footage, but it's like home movies from the 40s and 50s and 60s and 70s. And if you just dig through it, there's stuff that it struck me. I was like, this just kind of looks like it's in the closet. I don't know. Like it, if you look at it with modern eyes, you can see I felt the subtext to it. And so that's what I tried to put into a video for Cocksuckers Blues. But mainly the reason I wanted to talk to you about it is because I know how much Devo means to you. And is Bruce Conner like a big deal to you, or?
Yeah, and of course, the cool thing about music and getting obsessed by things is a lot of musicians start talking about filmmakers and authors and, visual artists. And then you kind of go off to the races. I mean, so many of us heard the Velvet Underground because of R.E.M, things like that. You know exactly. What I mean? I heard the Byrds because of Hüsker Dü, and so this was the same thing where when I was into Devo, you couldn't find the Bruce Conner film, Mongoloid, but you could hear about them talk about it and who Bruce Conner was. And I remember one of the exciting things was when I had the video store, I could get, a compilation, a VHS compilation of Bruce Conner work for the first time.
Yeah.
And see it. And it's so funny because it's so groundbreaking and also kind of quaint now, but it's so awesome. Like the Mongoloid video, again, you have to put the work in to find the things. You have to sift through all of the stuff. It is so much about like, how am I seeing what I'm seeing? Like somebody made this commercial.
Yeah.
This makes no sense where like, it's just it does your head in a way, because again, this is an era where it's film, everything's shot on film still, whether it's your home movies you're talking about or a commercial. If there's something special in it, like in the Devo Mongoloid video, it's a practical effect. So it's a real, and like thing that they've built on a sound stage or whatever. And the scale of it does your head in. But also I love that in the Devo story, these people who are so unwanted and unloved, eventually every brilliant person was like, hey, can I do something with you? Whether it was Bowie, Bruce Conner, Neil Young. It was like the weirdest, Tony Basil. It's the weirdest trajectory of like, oh, you're one of us.
Yeah.
To these people. And I think that speaks to me a lot, because I feel like when you're young and, we're talking about these shows we're playing when we're younger together, and it's so easy to feel kind of like unsure and unloved. And it's so weird when somebody appreciates what you do. For me, like no one really cared till like Sub Pop was like, you guys want to do something? And then it was like, everyone seemed to care, And so I'm like, we're the same band we were last week, but now we're not playing to 8 people, we're playing to 1,000. And so realizing like who your friends are, who the real artists are, who the people who aren't just being like, oh, I love you, you guys are great, is an interesting thing that I think, in the Devo documentary, they were just like weird conduits of brilliant people who just people did kind of like have their best interests when it came to collaborating with them. And they got as much from Devo as Devo did from them.
Yeah.
So
which is the striking difference between the Stones and Robert Frank, like no synergy to like most, like the totally. Most incredible still to this. Like I saw a little clip of it before our interview, and it's just like the way they changed the context of everything, and suddenly like all this intention that went into making that film, for the commercials, that the people who made the original thing is obliterated by just the way they put these things together and create something explosive. And it's the chemical reaction that happens with these combinations of things is just so thrilling. And not to belabor how bad that movie is, but it really is like, wow, that doesn't work, but this does.
Yeah, isn't that fascinating? Like, so when you're making your video, like, do you have a way you like to work? Do you like to build from the beginning and then keep looking for things, or do you like to have as much around you to kind of like have a body of work to play with?
It's always been a matter of making it up as you go. So it's a real struggle at the front to get something working. And then, like, it can't get boring. Right. Nobody's going to watch it. I can see, like, when people, on my Vimeo page, when people stop watching something, it's like, so you have to try to have some place to go. And there's always this anxious energy in your body while you're working on this thing for weeks and weeks that, like, it's got to go somewhere, and I don't know where we're going to go, but I got to get there, and so it's like running a marathon and hoping you have energy for it at the end. And making these found footage videos is super hard. But once you get something down, then you can see where the problems are and go back into, looking for other source material.
Right.
It's easier if somebody films it and hands you the footage and then you just try to make something cool from it. But that's not how those recent Heatmiser videos were done.
Maybe you can tell me if there's another way, or maybe this is just the way it is. So, like, if I'm editing an Eyelids video, I constantly am going back and starting from the beginning just to feel it.
Yeah.
So, like, even if it's like I'm a minute 20 in it, I'm like, I have to go back to see, and it's a total time suck. But is that's just kind of the way,
that's what
right?
You have to do.
Okay.
That is, and the problem with, like, that works with commercials that are only 30 seconds long or 60 seconds long. But when you got a song that's 4 minutes long, you're like, I got to slog all the way through this. But the thing that you're doing is, it's like shoveling snow. You push the shovel through and the snow falls into your path, and you have to push it again, and it falls into your path, and you push it again,
right.
Until you clear a path that you can start dealing with the next big giant drift. As long as you're okay with the process and don't take it personally, that the snow falls in your path, like, you'll get through it. The other thing, though, that sometimes helps is just to isolate it. You go into a different project, you just take only this part of the song, and you're just going to work on this today. And it doesn't have to connect to anything else. Just make this little bit work. And then you drop it in and see what happens. But that's sometimes what I have to do. If I'm really, like, because you get into this kind of, you're rolling in the waves, like,
totally.
And you're lost. You like, I'm distracted by this other thing, but that's why it's hard.
Yeah. And there's always that point where you're like, there's just this one part here that just sucks. Everything else is great, but this 2-second thing.
Yeah.
I just wish I had something to put there. And sometimes you can work your way through it or not. How are you then? See, I do enjoy editing. And I feel like time.
You're very good at it.
Oh, thank you. Well, so are you. But the thing is, I don't like mixing or being around mixing. It's too. There's something about hearing the audio and having to lean into it and just concentrate in a way that, like, I can't tell up from down.
Yeah.
With it. Are you good at that?
No. In fact, as an editor, I hate doing the mix. Like, its sound is completely different than how image is hitting sound. When you get into sound and you're pulling that apart, the top from the bottom, the mid-range, the muddiness that can happen, the way that you can fix on a detail and not be able to hear the forest for the trees thing. Like it's just, it becomes, I, I, I can't believe how like Tony Lash is able to be able to separate that stuff, or someone fucking crazy like Kevin Shields, who is like an alien intelligence,
Right.
where he can hear things that like nobody can hear. That I've heard that like David Fincher can look at a wall and tell you if it's like a half a stop off the light on the wall, like it's just like that. And it's like, no, people who have that kind of crazy ability is just like magic to me. And I totally feel it with you that a mix, like I get exhausted super fast.
Me too. And watching Tony like sit still and then cock his head a little, like it's just, I'm like, I just want to go to sleep. I can't tell. I don't like any of this anymore. It's so weird. Yeah. But to have that to be your job is just like, I'm just in awe of anyone who can do it. And it's still weird when, I'm still trying to figure out like, what the hell is compression? What's mastering? Like I get lost in the thing, like we're supposed to do it, but I don't understand it. Yeah. So, but I'm kind of glad you can't know it all. You can't do it all. Hmm. And that is like bar chords and mixing and audio. Those are the things that I'm just like, never going to get it. Just let go, Chris. It's okay. It's okay.
and look at the great stuff you've made with those limitations, like that.
Thank you.
That's what it's about, man. Like,
yeah.
I mean, without our limitations, that's what makes it unique.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I'm really, when you know people who went through the Beatles songbook and they know every chord and they know how to resolve things and they know where to go, and it's just like they can write things like butter, but and I'm often jealous of that.
Oh yeah.
But I'm a person who also was like, I didn't like practicing. I didn't like, I didn't like teachers. So it was like, I just want to wing it. And, yeah. and there are people who feel the same about me. They're like, oh, I wish I didn't have all this knowledge because I can't get out of it. I can't think like you do. I can't, just throw my hand on it and just be like, well, that's that. So it is a weird thing. So I am glad that I do have the limitations, but it just also means that I hate way more of my songs as I'm making them until I have one that I'm like, okay, I can stand this. It's just really hard.
That's very common. And it's not, and that's also not, that isn't a problem. Your job isn't to write brilliant songs. Your job is to write songs.
Right.
If brilliant ones happen, then that's great.
Remember, I was also in Guided by Voices, so I got kind of screwed seeing that process where someone's like, hey, here's 24 songs. Oh, a month later, here's another 24 songs. You're like, oh my God. So, but again, like you said, it's like David Fincher looking at a wall. It's like some people have the rare brain, heart, soul energy to do that. Mm-hmm. And I just got to be okay with I got to be okay with me being me, Neil.
Yeah. So great, Chris.
Neil, it's been so good seeing you and catching up. Again, you're one of my favorite people. Every time I'm in New York, you come out and it's just so great to see you. But you know what I have to do now, Neil? I have to ask the final question. And at the end of every episode, I ask the same question, but I tailor it depending on what we're talking about. So on a scale from 5 being the lowest and 109 being the highest, how many Mick Jagger yawns do you give the film Cocksucker Blues on a scale of Mick Jagger yawning 5 times in this film to 109?
It's an unbearable film to watch. Don't watch it. 109.
Exactly. And as you can see here, that's the right answer. I even drew a picture of Mick. 109 is the right answer. This is the first film that we've done where I'm just like, it's unnecessary. You won't, your life will be no different if you skip this film. That's never happened on this show. I often will be like, I don't really understand it. And then I see it through someone's eyes who's brought it onto the show. And I'm like, I got a total context. Yeah, this is a flop, man. This is not good. But if it did anything, it got you to write a great Heatmiser song. And, thank you, Stones.
Yeah.
You pieces of shit. Thank you for listening to Revolutions Per Movie. We release new episodes every Thursday on your favorite podcast app and additional bonus episodes every Sunday on our Patreon. The show is a completely independent affair, so the best way to support the show is through our Patreon at patreon.com/revolutionspermovie, where you can get weekly bonus episodes and shows, exclusive limited edition flexi discs and records and CDs featuring guests that have appeared on the show, and other exclusive goods sent to you just for joining. You can follow us on social media at Revolutions Per Movie and also find out more information about our various guests in the episode show notes. Thanks again, and we'll see you next week. Bye.